Well,
I mean, pretty much everybody made changes.
yeah, so a lot of
You
changes.
want to start with our team first?
We're gonna rank some. We're gonna
Obviously-
rank some teams going on later, so we're not gonna rank
Yeah.
them right now. But yeah, so we had a lot of changes. Obviously, I think the biggest were the OpTic and
Let's
the
talk
phase
about
changes.
the top 4 first. I
Yeah.
mean, those are the changes everyone cares about. I mean,
Look at this
chat. We'll ask you
ginormous
guys again.
graphic.
We've kind of already talked about this, but who do you guys think truly won the offseason roster mania? Most people said Toronto.
I think Toronto.
Envoy for Hicksy.
One for one player, I think Toronto probably made the biggest upgrade, but I feel bad for Hicksy because I still hold the opinion that I think it's absolutely unacceptable.
I'm seeing a lot of phase too,
Yeah.
which I could agree with. I mean, Austin's such like a good like leader of a team though.
Yeah.
But I guess Draws definitely has that like killer mentality, and he can also like you can just tell the way he is, how much he plays. Like,
I'm
you
not
can
sure.
just tell.
I'm not sure if you agree with me, but first off, I think our change getting Pred is crazy. Like I think people maybe underestimate the move because it was so expected. Maybe like Pred joining OpTic has been a thing for so long, where I feel like it wasn't as shocking as like Envoy to Ultra, for example. You know what I mean? Like Envoy to Ultra, no one expected Toronto to really make a change.
The reason why I would say Toronto as well is because, like, I mean, Pred for Kyler, like, dude, Kyler was fucking frying last year. Like that's why I would say Toronto, you know? Because, like, yeah, you could say Pred probably better than Kyler last year throughout the whole season, just by a little bit, though. But, like, Envoy for Hicksy, like, Dylan is, like, a top caliber sub in the league. And Hicksy, I just liked Hicksy's intangibles on the map. Hicksy was a really, like, team-oriented player. You could tell in his gameplay. He'd play his life, make people overextend. Like, I really like that coming out of a player. So we'll see how Toronto meshes with Dylan and for Hicksy. But I think that they obviously won roster mania, in my opinion as well. A lot of people agree.
Toronto's scary, man.
Yeah, Toronto's I mean, the top 4 are all scary.
Very scary. And also, I also just want to say one more time, like, I feel terrible for Hicksy. I think it's unacceptable that you can play second at champs and win a tournament and find yourself in challengers. Like, I think that guy got fucked over the most out of any single player that was playing professionally last season. So they have a European God squad. It's like Hicksy, Bance, Beans, and Nasty. Like, there's an argument for every single one of those players to not be in challengers, and like that is a pro team playing in challengers. So I just wanted to shout out Hicksy and those guys because I genuinely feel awful because in no way, shape, or world should anybody win a tournament, play second at champs, and find themselves in challengers. It's unacceptable.
People are saying P-Dog.
Priesta got screwed.
Priest he didn't just get screwed.
Priest, I mean, listen,
that's insane.
From the outside looking in, we don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
At first, it was like contract rumors about Priesta, and the guys. We've obviously talked about this stuff, but this is like our first official like breakdown. So we're gonna be repeating things we discussed online. So bear with us. At first, it was contract stuff with Priesta, and a lot of people are like, oh, the contract didn't make sense. The reality of it is this: if the New York players wanted Priesta on the team, he would have been on the team. They would have figured out the contract stuff. Priesta would have ultimately held his tongue, or however you want to put it, and signed for less money if it meant playing with that team, because that team is set to make probably, again, a lot of money in prize money. So they just wanted to make that change. They wanted Sib. I think baseline, it looks like they saw other teams upgrading in slang power and just overall talent, and they didn't want to feel left behind, and that's the way it looks. But winning champs and winning 3 tournaments, one being champs and getting dropped it's also unacceptable. So it's luckily for Priesta, I do think he found himself in the best position outside of it. Like, I think Boston's our 5th best team. We'll rank them later on.
Yeah,
but
they got what? Cap, Snoopy, Priest, and Slasher. I mean,
I do feel bad for him,
dude. I feel like the floor of the CDL was raised this year from last year.
Yeah,
and I would say like the mid and lower tier teams, at least from watching scrims early on, I would say the floor has risen again. I mean, we keep talking about how every year over year, it feels like the talent pool is going up and up and up for the CDL, which makes sense. People want to be in the league. People, with the challengers and all that good stuff. The system makes people better. And you can see that because the CDL has increasingly got harder and harder every single year.
Yeah.
And I think this year is going to be fucking insane. I mean, there's a couple teams that might get slammed, but for the most part, like Carolina, for instance, we were watching them scrim at the start of the year, and they look great.
Well, the good thing, and I think the way this goes is you'll notice in the beginning of the year, like a lot of teams putting in more time, like Carolina, for example, you can kind of compare them to Vegas last year, where Clay's team was so ahead last year that they were kind of dominant in the beginning, winning all their scrims. The way Call of Duty kind of goes is the reason talent ends up winning at the end of the year for the most part is because everybody sort of plays the game the same way towards the end of the year. Like Respawn has kind of played the same. Like everything's sort of fine-tuned and everyone starts playing the same, and that's why talent ends up winning ultimately towards the end of the year. So some of these quote-unquote lesser teams have an advantage here in the beginning if they're putting in more time because teams are going to be ahead. They're going to know a different spawn or a different way to break hills.
Yeah. I want to ask your opinion on Miami right now. What do you think of that team? Because Journey, Lucky,
yeah.
I've been playing against those guys for a long, long time.
They are
into
good.
the CWL. Like they're finally getting their shot.
Well, my honest opinion? Looking at the 12 CDL teams, I think Miami Heretics are the biggest sleeper team on this list.
Really? I disagree.
I think the Heretics, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind, where it's like no one liked playing Heretics because they always brought a different style of play. They're very aggressive. They have pop-off players, and a lot of people are sort of underrating them because you just don't hear a lot about these players because the CDL was so NA dominated. Like getting visas and all this shit was so hard to sort.
Yeah.
That this is our first time having the Spaniards back.
You want to know mine?
Yeah, sure.
My biggest sleeper team this year, going into it, Seattle.
Okay, yeah, I disagree. But hey, that's all right. We're allowed to each have
we can both disagree with each other.
Sleeper team. I think
Seattle is a sleeper this year, man. Kyler, I think, dude, people did not give Kyler enough credit for how good he was playing last year, in my opinion, man. He was the best sub for like two stages, I would say. He was insane for 2 stages last year, bro.
Well, I guess the reason I don't see them as super what I mean by like the biggest sleeper team is that no one talks about Heretics. I feel like Surge is at least talked about a little more because you have a player like Alec who's...
I don't think so.
It's Alec. You have Ender who's coming back. Okay, I'm going to be very blunt about Seattle. No, if Ender is not fully healthy, it's a bad thing. We don't know if he's fully healthy.
I think he finally is. Because this year
we
saw him
but there's no way to know until we see him play.
We saw him in the preseason Surge tournaments though, and dude, it felt like they were winning all of them.
Yeah.
It felt like they were winning, not all of them, but like the mid like off-season tournaments, they were frying. The Cold War ones, all that stuff. And then like the gunfight tournament was kind of trolly, but like they've been winning a decent amount of those like kickoff / early preseason tournaments.
They have a gross Surge team.
Yeah.
Because like, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Seattle's bad. I'm just saying the reason I think Miami's the bigger sleeper team is because nobody knows anything about them anymore. Like I feel like the last time Heretics were talked about were like Black Ops 4, and that was pre-CDL. So since the CDL has begun, the Spaniards haven't even been in the conversation. And I think the reason everyone sort of, I guess, is underwriting them is because no one really understands or knows. Maybe you're new or they haven't been talked about in a long time. Like no one knows what Heretics are about to bring, and that's what makes them scary, I guess.
Yeah. No, you're right about their play style, though. Playing them in the past, they were like ultra aggressive at all times. And I mainly played against them in BO4. Those guys didn't stop. So yeah. I'm interested to see if they carry that play style into the league and if it works.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what other teams are like hyper aggressive right now? Like just always fucking flying at you.
Can we bring up that
I guess
the list of all the rosters again?
Our team was fucking super hyper aggressive last year.
Yeah. I think we go in order from like left column, middle column, and right column. Just breeze over these teams real quick so we can just talk about